Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast with J. Gordon Duncan. And if you're wondering why the J, the answer is, I'm not a bagpipe player. And if that joke doesn't make any sense, I encourage you to check out episode 0, where I explain that joke, as well as the purpose of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast, where we talk about faith, family, fitness, finances, and sometimes fun. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm incredibly excited. I know I say that every single episode, but last week we had my daughter Emma on, and this week I have Meredith on. Meredith, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Meredith has not been on since the very end of 2020. So you came on right at the point where I was making the big transition from church to full-time marketing, and you and I were on the show together, and it got gangbuster ratings. Of course it did. But now things are a little different. I get to have you on camera, on video, and everywhere it goes. But thanks for taking this time. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
I know. We had this whole list about things that we could talk about, and we'll probably hit some of them. But we talked one time about the stresses of COVID. We talked about that. You talked about the stresses of high school life in the governor's program, and now all that has happened, and you just finished your sophomore year of college, and you're a rising junior. Doesn't that feel insane?
It feels really crazy.
Does it?
It all just happened really fast.
Do you feel like, I hear you talking about being an adult, but I mean, do you feel like an adult?
I felt like an adult since I was like 13 years old.
Okay, why? Why do you feel, I don't know if I feel bad as a parent or something. Why have you felt like an adult since you were 13?
I don't know. I just have always, I don't know. I think that I was just in environments where I just had to kind of present myself.
Do you think it's an oldest sibling thing?
It's
a lot of
probably
older.
Part of it.
Okay, so maybe a little bit of that, and then you held areas of responsibility. At church that a lot of kids weren't. You were leading. I mean, you sang. There were times you actually were speaking to the crowd. You were doing that when you were a teenager.
Kids.
Yeah. You're looking over a lot of children and that kind of thing. So when you look back now, maybe it's too early for reflection.
It's never too early for reflection.
Okay, good. So then do you feel like, how do you feel like that's benefited you? And we're not going to do a deep dive on church life or anything like that, but we're going to talk about all these areas where you hit areas of responsibility, even in the governor's school, right? How has that benefited you, and then maybe how did it not set you up really well? What would you say?
I definitely came into college knowing a lot more, just kind of about like school in general, because I had already done a lot of like extensive projects. I had just been given a lot of responsibilities. So I came into college like knowing how to cite sources and knowing how to research and knowing how to write, like literature reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And then people who weren't in the governor's school program didn't have that like experience. But I think I definitely didn't have the typical high school experience, and that was something that I kind of missed out on. And I kind of had to...
You mean like lightheartedness and fun or
yeah,
something? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I like had my fun like where I like had it, especially doing like a lot of music and performing stuff. So in college I kind of had to learn how to like relax and kind of...
Do you feel like that's what this is now? It's a time of life where you're able to relax a little bit more?
It's more the fact that I can kind of, as an adult, I can make my schedule and I can choose
right.
like how I spend my days. I definitely like having that freedom.
Yeah, I mean, and then in other areas of life, like I said, you were taking care of kids, you were singing, leading music,
I feel like freed up, kind of.
You do feel freed up.
Yeah.
It's interesting, when I reflect on college, don't get me wrong, college was a blast. You do have a lot of freedom. You do. You're only going to class like 3 hours a day or something like that. But when I look at it, I didn't do the spring break trips that my friends were like, let's go to Daytona, and those kind of things. And I spent my summers working. And I'm thankful for those experiences. But when I look back every now and then, I'm like, man, it might have been a lot of fun to just go blow it out at Daytona or something like that. But it wasn't something I could do. So it's funny. When I look at my college experience, I look at it as, okay, that was my formative, I have to get serious about taking care of things life. Mm-hmm. And so for you, and I'm glad for it, it looks like you're getting an opportunity maybe to relax and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
especially since I go to college in Richmond,
mm-hmm.
I like being in the city and not being in a contained like college campus.
Right.
So I like kind of being in the center where a lot of things happen.
So do you so you're a rising junior. I mean, you're 2 years away, max. I mean, you could probably do it in 3 semesters, but you're 4 semesters away from graduating, semesters away from career, and those kind of choices. Do you already feel like your college experience is beginning to take a shift towards more serious, more weighty kind of things, or do you still feel like no, it's still a situation where I can kind of enjoy this rest a little bit?
It definitely is getting a bit more like weighted,
Okay.
just because as you continue throughout the course load, it does get more
Yeah,
involved.
it means more. Yeah.
And I almost studied abroad this summer.
Right.
And then prepping for that, I was like, whoa, this is kind of like a lot. Like, this is a lot of responsibility
Yeah.
that I would have to take on.
I was thinking of you just as a parent. I mean, the responsibilities of traveling abroad, since you're an adult, there's a lot of those things I can't do for you. Like just legally, whether it be documentation or medical, those things are just not allowed to do anymore for you. And I began thinking about, like, okay, in 2 years, Meredith's going to get a job, and there's going to be benefits, and the forms you fill out there are different, and the choices you make there are different. And of course, we'll always be there to give you any measure of advice, but I thought this is sort of one of those first times where there's a lot that has to get done, and if the I's and the T's don't happen, it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So for you, what was that like? Because Vienna's there for you next year if you want to do it.
Vienna waits for me.
You've got time to pull those things together. But my successful Meredith had to learn a new experience where here was the plan, and the plan got delayed.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you? Because you've been an achiever, you've been a succeeder. It got delayed for you. What was that like for you?
It definitely was. Well, when I first heard about the opportunity, I was like, oh, this is so exciting. I get to go someplace completely different into like a country that just like speaks a completely different language that
You speak German,
I speak
right?
German. And since none of our family is German and we have really no ties to German culture, like it's just been something that I've learned through school. So I was like, okay, this is an opportunity to like implement it.
Yeah.
So once I found out that I wasn't going, of course I was upset because when I plan things, I want them to go through.
Sure.
And I get like really excited about that kind of stuff. But then I just had to focus. I was like, okay, so I'm not going to spend July in Vienna. So how can I spend July in Richmond, and how can I still make that like an enriching experience?
Okay. So looking for redeemable doesn't have to be the word, but like, what's the opportunity for me here, since I'm going to be somewhere I wasn't planning on being, learning or new experiences and that kind of thing.
Always thinking about what I can have and not what I don't have.
What you can and what you don't. Yeah. So where does that come from, Mare? That's not everybody's process. Where does that come from?
I think it's just a learned response, because when I would have things that didn't go my way when I was younger, I was like, oh, I can't, if I focus on the negative, it's not going to do me any good.
Right.
And if I want to keep on going and keep on being successful, I have to have an abundance, positive mindset.
Right. So have you grown into sort of, and I'm not going to use the word mantras, but there's some expressions that are more readily propagated these days, just sort of from mental health. Nothing happens to me, it happens for me. You just use the word abundance mindset. So where are you getting that? Do you hold on to those, or a couple of those mantras you hold in your head?
Yeah. I think something that's been important for me is to surround myself by people who also think that way. And yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So,
I don't have any readily like available mantras.
So they're like for me when I'm racing, I love racing, and hills are a challenge, right? Hills are a challenge. And so 2 years ago, I won my first race. I run the Riverwalk 4-miler, right? And the guy behind me was from out of town, and I was running on basically my home court, right? I mean, it's the canal path, and I was like, I knew this. And so every time we had a hill, I told myself, I win hills. That's what I told myself. Now, back in my mind, I also knew he doesn't know this hill's coming. I know where the hill, but I just kept telling myself, I win hills. That's what I do. And so throughout portions of my life, depends on what the segment is, there's times I have just things I tell myself, because otherwise it gets filled with whatever the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
So would you be willing to share when that was difficult for you in this process? To not see the, hey, this is happening for me, not to me. Was there a moment that you're like, dang it?
I am not going to Vienna because I couldn't find, or just the documentation didn't work out. It
Passport
was a time crunch. So during April, when I was trying to get it all together, it was really discouraging me and stressing me out. And then I was like, I don't this is something that's such a great opportunity, and it doesn't have to stress me out like this. I have plenty of time.
Right.
I can do it when it makes more sense.
Vienna awaits, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Vienna awaits. Well, let's take a shift. Let's take just a left turn here for a minute. So, when I was joking with you the other day, Meredith, classicconfidence.com is still existing. So, Classic Confidence was sort of your influencer brand when you were what, 15?
Yeah, just about
15,
and
so
8th grade.
So you and then
back in 2015.
Okay, so we actually created a website, a blog. You were putting out lifestyle tips, eating tips, exercise tips. Is that where you were also selling bracelets?
No, that was 6th grade.
Okay,
I did that on Etsy to originally help so I could buy a phone.
Did you buy a phone? That's right. And then you also did Sparkle Box for a while when you made.
Yeah, that was the name of the bracelet.
So I look at that and I'm like, well, she's definitely my kid. I mean, like that. But you went from this moment where the online for you was super important, but I don't see you much online anymore at all now. Mm-mm. And the general thinking is that you're the target audience. I know you spend time online. Mm-hmm. So what's your time online look like? Social media wise, I guess.
Yeah.
Because what does your time look like?
I'll scroll through Instagram or Twitter. I'm not on TikTok much. Mm-hmm. When I'll usually, if I download, actually let me start over. During quarantine, I was I don't want to sit on my phone all day.
Okay.
Because it's just kind of it's a lot of noise just in my brain.
Sure.
So I would see how long I could go with having no social media apps on my phone.
Okay.
So I would be okay, I'm going to try and go a week with no Instagram on my phone just to see how I feel. And I think I still don't keep social media apps on my phone, and anytime I want to go on one, I download it. Okay. And then once I'm done scrolling or whatever, I delete it again. Is
that typical for your circle?
Kind of. My friends and I have been on social media less than we did when we were in high school.
Okay.
Just because we're we have enough problems and stressors in real life that we don't need it.
So I'm not going to ask you to be the voice of a generation or anything like that, but I mean, do you find that with the other 19, 20, 21-year-olds that that's the typical consumption?
No. People are on it much more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why isn't TikTok or Instagram more appealing to you right now? Is it trying to keep the voices out of your head? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, and then I think that just a lot of I don't know, especially on TikTok, there's not people who fact check, and kind of anybody can put anything out there.
It's wide open.
And it kind of destroys your attention span.
Okay.
And I'm just I don't.
Well, at one point in time, even just a year ago, you were killing it on Twitter. Mm-hmm. So, but I don't think you're on Twitter anymore, are you?
I mean, I'm not much. I only do it on the web app, and then I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you were getting likes, retweets. You were putting out one-liners that sometimes made sense.
Yeah.
So
No, I
but
like.
when they did, they were hilarious to me. But when they didn't, I was like, I'm sure this is funny, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Your biggest comment ever was a response about how to make eggs.
Yes, there was a tweet.
Low and slow,
There
right?
was a
So tell the
tweet-
story.
There was a tweet and someone was like, "Ugh, I just can't cook scrambled eggs. Every time I do it, I get it wrong." So I commented low and slow, which
Right.
I believe I learned from Barefoot Contessa on the Food
Maybe
Network.
your
And
mom,
my
but yeah,
mom.
yeah, maybe your mom, but yeah, make sure that goes out, okay? But okay, between
But
Barefoot Contessa and your
like,
mom,
I got like 700, 800 likes on that.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
People like little phrases. That
Yeah,
they can
bite sizes,
yeah.
digestibles, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you didn't want to be like, oh, I'm gonna build this, because we had that one friend who blew up, was on Steve Harvey's show. Remember all that? And so they just had that moment of fame on Instagram, and then all of a sudden, it just took off. But that wasn't an appeal to you, fame.
I mean, I feel like if I am gonna be famous, I want to do it for like something like a craft,
Explain.
like singing
Oh,
or
well, forgive
like
me. Okay.
something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that, and not by like I don't know.
Yeah,
Just-
if you took off singing, the first thing a manager or someone would say was, you got to get on Instagram. You got to get on TikTok. The very first thing you would be told to do is to go blow up those channels.
Yeah. I feel like since I have been on social media for so long, I'm just like whatever. Because
Mhm.
when I had an Instagram for the blog,
Mhm.
it was when Instagram stories first came out.
Right, right.
So I was like posting Instagram stories. I was
Right.
posting multiple times a day, and it was kind of like in the early age of like
Sure, sure, sure.
influencers.
Mhm.
And I was just a kid, just like posting whatever. I would follow people. I would comment on their pictures.
Mhm.
I would go onto German pages. I would comment in German there.
Right.
And I would even, when I found brands that I liked, or like small brands, I would DM them on Instagram, and I would say, "Hey, can you send me some product?
You got
I'll
product.
review
You
it."
did. You
And
got,
they sent it to me.
Yeah. So the first influencer I remember you really liked was Cassie Ho, Blogalates, right? And so, and her career's taken she's had like 3 transformations since then. But for you, she played a part, I guess, wouldn't you say? Like in just sort of the shaping of how you handled maybe the difficulty of high school and things. Would that be correct?
Kind of.
Kind
But,
of. Okay.
like,
Maybe not as drastic as I just mentioned. So, okay. So, but that's not one of the plans that you have.
I don't know. It's
Okay.
just kind of like, it's like on the side.
Well, tell me about your major. What's your major?
I am a mass communications major with a German minor.
Okay. So mass communications, but it doesn't sound like that would be social media then. So what?
It like not, it's not specifically social media.
Okay. So early on, you got 2 years ago. You're fluent in German. You're killing it there. Mass communications. What does that shape itself towards in 2 years?
There's like a couple of concentrations. There's like advertising, there's journalism, there's like public relations.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a specific idea of what I want to do with it, but I want to have like that 4-year degree.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I don't know, because I have done like a lot of work in social media in school before, so I'm like, I want something physical that like says that.
Right. I get that completely. So again, with that German, which one of those seems to weigh out for you when you think career-wise?
I don't know. I don't like think about a specific career path.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I'm so good at so many things
Okay.
that
Yeah, you're getting
I
gifted
feel-
with skills, and you're trying to
Yeah.
figure out where to put it.
Yeah.
I understand that. So
I feel like I want to have a ton of like different jobs
okay.
in my life.
Well, I understand that one too. I do. So you are looking back at your 16-year-old self. You've got all this wisdom now, born out of experience and success and maybe a little pain. It's pre-COVID. Okay. What advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
To calm down and stop being so hard on myself.
So why do you think at that age you were so hard on yourself? What was it?
a lot of external pressure. And
From us, from the governor's school, what do you think?
everything.
Okay.
And I don't know. I've always been kind of like an anxious person.
Okay.
So, it was just a mix of all that.
Okay. So you just say, calm down. Like what else? Like how would you explain that to your 16-year-old self so you would hear it?
I would say I would tell myself to be honest with myself about like my feelings and like my energy levels, and like pushing myself too far, it's not worth it.
Okay. If you had to do it over again, halfway through the governor's school program, would you have left it? Probably.
Yeah.
We talked about that a couple of times, and you were like, "Nope." And I understand. I mean, it was your choice, and I get it. You wanted to finish something you started, but looking back, you might have said, "You know what? I'm just going to have a quote unquote normal high school experience my last 2 years."
Yeah.
So
probably. I tried, and when I was at my like homeschool, I would immerse myself in like music and theater and German stuff there, and anytime I was after school, I was like at my homeschool and trying to do stuff there, and that is where I had the most fun.
Right.
That's where I enjoyed myself the most.
So, and again, for anybody, the governor's school is a program where you leave your homeschool, and the primary subjects, your math, your English, your sciences, are held in a bit more of an intensive manner. You have more of an immersive experiences. At least that was the attempt.
We have research projects.
So a lot of research projects and that kind of thing. So it gives you an opportunity for some extra credits and some more experiences and that kind of thing. If you had the opportunity right now for a rising ninth grader, and they're going into the governor's school or some other high school more intensive situation like that, and they're going to do it, like they're going to be like you. They're like, I'm going to do these next 4 years. What would you tell that rising ninth grader who's getting ready to get started in that program? Like, what couple of tips would you give for them?
A lot of it is just stuff that they have to learn through experience. I don't know.
Okay.
That's their personal.
Okay. You just say, listen. So maybe the advice would be, okay, listen, this is gonna be difficult. You're gonna find your own journey here. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. Wow, that's tough. Yeah. That's really tough. So what about the rising freshmen at VCU? What advice would you give them? You talk to their parents all the time with your job. Don't be annoying. That's really what's an annoying rising freshman? So Meredith has a job where explain your job briefly and then answer that. What's your job on campus?
I am a front desk assistant at the housing office.
So anything related to on-campus housing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know.
So what's annoying about freshmen at campus with your job?
They come into Richmond and I don't want to say like entitled, but I think it's important for people when they come to Richmond to understand their like role, I guess.
Okay.
Because like VCU has like gentrified Richmond a ton.
Okay.
To like insane levels. And a lot of freshmen come in and they're like, "Oh, like Richmond is so scary. I'm just here for like school. I'm like whatever."
Maybe you don't have an appreciation for the city? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
And I find that a lot of, or when I talk to some people in Richmond and they're like, "Oh, it's so boring here." I'm like, you're just doing stuff sanctioned by the school. And when you do that, like, you're not going to have a great Richmond experience.
So I was about to say, the best Richmond experience is not just what the campus offers, but enjoying what the city itself offers.
Yeah,
more
talk
so.
to people in the city.
Yeah, and maybe part of that is just the assumption of sort of a college ecosphere.
Mm-hmm.
That happens for a lot of campuses where you have
Very
a
nice.
campus, you live there, and so there's assumptions sometimes that like the campus is going to provide my entertainment and my friends and all those things, except maybe the bars they go to or whatever. But you're saying since VCU isn't that campus, it's going to be more enjoyable if you experience Richmond in a broader sense.
Yeah.
So how did that happen for you? I mean, why didn't that happen to you?
Because I was a freshman in 2020 and everything was online.
Mm-hmm.
So there weren't events for me to go to.
Right.
So I was like, well, my first couple weeks there, I didn't like know a lot of people. I was kind of just like sitting around and I was like, I kind of hate this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this isn't fun.
Right.
So
I mean, you went during the you went during the
fall 2020.
So we're still like you went
No vaccine.
you went to a dorm pre-vaccine, and all your classes were in that dorm room on a computer.
Yes.
But you still went to, so of course VCU could offer there were no activities.
Yeah.
So
So I had some friends and we would hang out off campus. We would get on the bus, and some days we would just be like, we're going to ride the bus until we decide to stop,
Mhm.
and we're going to go explore this area.
Right.
And I think having that time to really like explore Richmond, it was really like helpful for me.
Sure.
And I was
sure.
like, it helped me kind of open my eyes to like the opportunities, not just academically, but like socially, and I don't know, just like what Richmond has
What
to
was
offer.
this spring? So spring of 2022. Was that the most open campus has been in the 4 semesters, or was it that way in the fall as well?
It was that way in the fall. As
Okay,
well.
so you did 1 full year in that experience. Vaccines, boosters, all come in. VCU's got certain requirements about what that looks like. The world begins to open up. City eases some of its restrictions. And then did you jump into VCU life, or did you just greater explore Richmond?
Just greater explore Richmond.
Okay, so you never had the. I mean, I know you've done VCU events, but
Yeah, I did a couple more VCU like events, I guess, just because I was in class physically.
you sing the national anthem at a soccer game. You know, some of those college experiences and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I was in choir, and we got to have an in-person concert for the first time since 2020.
Yeah, so spring of this year, right? Was that spring? So spring of
April.
2022, the very first in-person concert in a full 2 years at VCU, which was wonderful, by the way. It was a fantastic concert, and good to see you sing again, because we had not heard you sing like in a
February
concert since
2020.
February of 2020. We saw you sing national anthem outdoors, but at the soccer. But yeah, you had not had a concert since February of 2020. So
High school.
so 26 months before a concert came
And
back.
that was crazy because when I was in high school, I was performing multiple times a week.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah, you were going places and performing. Especially at Christmas, you guys were all over the place.
All over.
Yeah.
Elementary schools, middle schools, retirement homes, insurance dinners,
You
expo
were in
centers.
plays. How many plays did you do? And count Mamma Mia. I know it
okay.
never happened, but
Oh, can I talk about all of my plays?
you can talk. Yeah, of course you can. So tell us the plays you were in. You were in.
My first one was Legally Blonde.
Uh-huh.
Did a musical. And I have never, to this day, I still have never taken a theater or acting class.
I know you just. We were like, okay, Mare. I mean, when you could sing.
Because I was in show choir.
Yeah.
And my teacher was like, "You should really do it. Like, you'll never forget it."
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I was cast as a Delta Nu sorority girl, Greek chorus member, and
Yes.
Delta Nu.
So-
And the closest I'll ever be to a sorority girl.
Yep.
But like midway through the rehearsal, like this like flu type thing went through the whole cast, but not
In
me.
Legally Blonde.
In Legally
Okay,
Blonde.
I don't remember. Okay.
So there were 3 like main sorority girls
Mhm.
out of the group, and one like missed a whole month.
Oh, I do remember that.
So
yes.
they changed it. They said, we're going to double up on her part.
Mm-hmm.
Meredith, you learn her part, and you're just going to do it together, and there'll be 4 main ones instead
Okay.
of 3.
So I got to commend you. I mean, all 3 of you. So you and Landry and Emma. In your high school experiences, each of you at some point in time just said, hey, I'm going to go do this thing which I don't have any experience in. So you did that in theater. Landry did that with marching band. She'd never carried a bass drum. And then Emma has done it with color guard. Like, each one of you have just said, this thing in which I have no experience, I'm just going to go do. And all 3 of you have succeeded amazingly in this thing. But for us, I knew your confidence. I knew your ability. Amy and I knew that. But we're like, we need to go see if she can act. Because we didn't, we knew you could persuade, but we didn't know that you could act. And you just did it.
I was just like, I've seen movies.
I get that. A lot of people have seen movies.
I know context clues. I know, like, how to present things so that people will get a certain, like, reaction.
Yeah, and you saw me speak in public 48 times at minimum a year. So so you did Legally Blonde. What was next? I can't remember which one was next.
Next was Droolin' Papa's Crown, which was a 1-act.
Yep, yeah.
And I had never done just a straight acting thing, but it was set in the South.
Yep.
So it was like 7 people, and in the audition, the teacher said, you can do an accent if you have a good one.
Mm-hmm. You asked me a couple of accents. Do you remember? You asked me to tell you a couple of accent tips. Do you remember that at all?
I don't.
Yeah, so you asked me, because I got rid of most of my southern accent, but you asked me a couple of, like, accent tips.
Because during rehearsals, I would do an accent, and then my teacher, she was like, it's too, like, North Carolina. You have to do it more like Alabama.
Woo! Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't help you there.
Just more, like, droll.
You guys won a 1-act. You guys...
That was the one. So the plot was that it was a whole bunch of estranged siblings meeting to talk about their father's will.
That's right.
And I remember we were like, this...
It was Knives Out.
This script, kind of. This script, we were like, it kind of is, like, weird. Like, whatever. But we had a really good cast that had good chemistry. And then the director did this thing in rehearsals. We would call it a speed through. So when a person was 75% done with their line, you started yours.
Wow. Okay.
So we would just go through the whole play like that multiple times. We would just be like, okay, this day we're just going to do speed through rehearsals.
Wow.
So it's a lot of overlapping, but she did that because we were family, like playing family, and she said family cuts each other off.
Right.
So
fantastic.
We did that, and then we advanced in the, like, 1-act competition because they're like, you guys, like, got it. Like, you were, like, believable family. Like, we understood it. And then the spring of that year, we had the Weston Game. Which was another straight play.
Yeah.
Which was, like, it was not a good script. It wasn't well written. Kind of a weird plot, but I played a divorcee real estate heiress with 2 kids. Who
It's
would,
murder
like,
mystery,
get
right?
drunk. Yeah.
Basically, if you take your 2 plays, you do have Knives Out.
Yeah, they were kind of similar.
If you put them both together, you've got the will and you've got a murder mystery. And so somewhere, someone in the crowd saw you, and they're like, let's make Knives Out. And that's what happened there.
It came out later that year.
So
we did the play in March, and Knives Out came out in November.
With the Southern drawl and everything.
Yeah.
So, and then, is that where we go to Mamma Mia?
No, there was another 1-act my senior year called Cheating Death.
Yes, that's right.
It was in a psych ward. And my character was the, like, chosen one to die. So the whole play is death, and they come into the psych ward, and they're trying to find Sam Johnson.
That's right.
And the whole thing is, like, them trying to trick them. Like, oh, Sam Johnson isn't here. Maybe you're Sam Johnson. And at the end, I leave.
That's right.
I die.
Yep. And then you won the lead in Mamma Mia.
Mamma Mia. I was Sophie Sheridan.
So we've talked about this on the show, but I mean, school closed the weekend before the first performance. Is that right?
Weekend before dress rehearsal.
For dress rehearsal.
But I had over 100 lines.
Mm-hmm.
I had many songs. I opened, I closed the whole show. And the last rehearsal that we had was a pianist, and we did the whole show. He like played it because we're gonna have live accompaniment. And then we were like, okay, enjoy your long spring break, everybody. And we tried during quarantine. They were like, oh, you guys just brush up on your stuff. Like once COVID's over, we'll like do it. But once June hit, we were like, it's not looking too good, you guys.
No.
So we had like an online over Zoom. It was like, okay, seniors.
Yeah.
And we could record a video of ourselves singing one of our songs, and then we played it over Zoom.
I remember that. So
And that was it.
I still have like this movie ending. This movie ending where you're 25 and Miss Akers rallies everybody together for one performance of Mamma Mia at Cortland High, or we have to get someplace bigger, and all the family and friends come out, and it still happens. If this was a movie, this is how the story ends, is that you get one performance.
And what was funny was that, like, for Westing Game, it was, like, the week before we opened, and we still didn't know all of our lines.
Mm-hmm.
And we had, like, the typical, like, theater director, like, mad at us. She was like, everybody to the front of the stage. She was like, you guys, you have to know your lines. You can't be saying line, like, right now.
Right.
But Mamma Mia, since it is ABBA songs and all of us kind of knew them already, we had it kind of down by, like, the beginning of March when we were supposed to perform in April. And we were like, whoa, you guys, this is going so incredibly well. This is crazy.
So Meredith, and we can do this offline, but real quick, there's a scene with only like 4 people in it somewhere in Mamma Mia, right?
A lot of them were like just 2 people.
We can pull together a scene somewhere, right? We can snag a couple of people and put together a scene somewhere, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have to work on that. So, all right, we need to wrap up. So Meredith, so here you are, you're 2 years later. You're 20, you're almost 21. Last time we spoke was at the end of your high school experience. I think you were on the show before that one other time, if I'm not mistaken. But you're 2 years older. You talk about being more mature than you were. More mature than you've had, than your age, whatever. And you've also talked about being anxious. So what do you want for yourself if we do this at 22? You'll be done with school. Vienna no longer waits. You've gone.
I've done it.
You've done it. You've got mass comm. You're German. You've gone and immersed yourself in a German experience.
I can call myself fluent.
You can. Well, we all think you are, but you've got whatever it takes, to get the title, right? What do you want for that 22-year-old college grad, fluent in German, mass comm major? Like, what do you want for yourself in 2 years? I hope we can do this again before then, but what do you want for yourself in 2 years?
I think that when I'm done with college, I want to look back on it and just really, I want to be able to look back and see growth, just like from wherever.
Okay.
Like from, I don't know. Like, I don't want to reach a point and be like, okay, I'm done growing. I've seen it all.
Sure.
Like, I just want to always keep, like, a sense of, like, wonder and determination.
Do you have that growth quantified? Like, this is how I will know I have grown?
I don't know. I try and stay away from, like, specific numbers and, like, rigid, like, stats to determine growth, but I think if I'm, like, content with my life, if I'm surrounded by good people, if I am keeping myself in creative endeavors, if I am still talking to people and just, like, exploring.
Awesome.
That's what I want.
Well, I'm incredibly proud of you. So I love you. Thank you so much for coming on again. Nice, the new digs.
Yeah.
Digging the new environment. And so, well, gang, thanks so much. I appreciate you being here. This has been a blast with Meredith. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, just take a screenshot of it, throw it up on your stories while you're working out, let everybody know you listen to it. And as always, of course, likes, reviews, all that stuff helps in here. Meredith, thank you again. And guys, I look forward to talking to you again next week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
How do you shorten the time it takes to buy a car? Car buying just got easier. Pohanka365.com lets you complete as much or as little of the car buying process online. Pohanka365.com. Car buying simplified. Anytime, anywhere.
Small business owners, you should be praised for wanting to grow your business. That's a good thing, and not everybody has the guts to do it. As a business owner myself, I know you've overcome obstacles that people don't even know about. Hi, my name is Gordon Duncan, the owner of Capitalized Marketing and Consulting, and I want you to know that if your business hasn't grown like you want it to, it's not your fault. If it's not COVID getting in the way, it's ridiculous things like changing social media algorithms. You're right in thinking that very few people are doing small businesses any favors right now. But Capitalized Marketing and Consulting is here to help. We've created a 90-day course that is guaranteed to grow the revenue of your business. It will give you the tools that you've been looking for, and as a certified coach, I would be with you along the way. If you would like to learn more about our program, just visit CapitalizeYourBest.com and get started enjoying the success you deserve. Again, that's CapitalizeYourBest.com, and I can't wait to celebrate all you accomplish.